Verslo ir technologijų fakulteto dekanė, daktarė Vaida Bartkutė-Narkūnienė.
Labas rytas. Deividas sakė labą dieną. Tai nežinau, gal rytas, labas rytas. Tai pirmiausia, noriu visus, kaip ir Deividas, pratęsti jo tą džiugesį, pasveikinti susirinkusius į šitą projekto renginį. Ir profesinis tapatumas, tas pavadinimas renginio, tai yra nestatinis, tai nuolat besikeičiantis reiškinys, besitęsiantis viso asmens karjerą. Tai aš linkiu šiandien tokio prasmingo, įdomaus savęs pažinimo pasirinktoje profesijoje. Praleiskite turiningai laiką. Ir aišku, aš kaip fakulteto administracijos atstovė labai noriu pasidžiaugti mūsų dėstytojų kolektyvų, kuriems gimė ši idėja, kurie rašė projekto paraišką, gavo finansavimą ir to pasekoje esam susirinkę čia. Tai labai ačiū mūsų dėstytojų kolektyvui. Ir dėkoju svečiams iš Vilniaus kolegijos ir Panevėžio kolegijos, kurie čia prisijungė prie šio renginio. Linkiu susibendrauti, rasti naujų draugų ir prasmingo laiko praleidimo čia. Dėkui.
Ačiū dekanė sveikinimo žodį. Ir kaip ir paminėjo dekanė, gero laiko kartu, gero susipažinimo, susitikimo, tai aš tik noriu pasidalinti savo patirtimi, kad pats visai neseniai buvau studento. Tai tie tokie renginiai, kur išvažiuojant į kitą miestą, verslumo renginiai, motyvaciniai renginiai, tai jie labiausiai ir suartina. Susirandat gerų draugų, susirandat naujų draugų, kurie potencialus gali būti ir studijų partneriai, ir verslo partneriai, tai tiesiog išnaudokit būtinai šią galimybę. Ir dar taip pat norėčiau, kad sveikinimo žodį tartų ir dar programą šiek tiek šiandienos pristatytų ir visą projekto programą. Tai projekto iniciatorė Jūratė Aksamitienė.
Sveiki dar kartą visi. Jungiuosi prie dekanės sveikinimo žodžių. Tikrai labai smagu. Programą šios dienos nepristatysiu, jūs visi turite ją ir puikiai matot, aš gal labai trumpai apie projektą. Kaip žinot, kad projekto pavadinimas yra studentų profesinio tapatumo raiškos didinimas Rytų Aukštaitijos regione. Tai todėl mes galvojam, kad tikrai tas, kad iš Panevėžio, iš Vilniaus, iš Utenos, tai ir yra ta visa tas visas studentų būrys, kuris tikriausiai galės padėti ir tuo projekto metu galės išreikšti save ir pasižiūrėti, ar iš tikrųjų jie pasirinko tą specialybę. Gal labai trumpai apie projekto veiklas. Pati pirmoji veikla tai yra šios dienos seminaras, taip, mano tapatumo didinimas. Kita veikla bus labai greitų laiku, tai reiškia, kad kiekviena kolegija savo priimtinu būdu atsirinks komandą, į kurią eis 12 studentų ir vyks į jums gerai žinoma didelę Lietuvos įmonę, vieną iš vedančių įmonių Teltonika. Ką jūs ten darysit, jūs turėsit jau užduoti ir šito įmonėje jūs turėsite susirasti visą informaciją, kuri padės jums išspręsti problemas iškilusias toj užduotyje. Dar viena veikla bus. Jau matot, yra prisijungusi lektorė Eva iš Bialystoko universiteto. Jinai ne tik tai, kad ves šiandien seminarą, pradėti seminarą, bet ir konsultuos jūs. Tai pagal sutartą laiką, taip, suderinsim laiką, kada tai bus, jūs jungsitės ir klausimai, kurie iškils problemos sprendimo metu, tikrai Eva padės jums atsakyti. Na ir baigiamasis renginys spalio 20 diena, tai yra konkursas, kur jūs ir pademonstruosit savo gebėjimus, kaip jūs išsprendėte problemą ir aišku bus dar visokiausių kitokių siurprizų. Tai toks labai trumpas projekto pristatymas ir labai džiaugiuosi, kad jūs esate jo dalyviai. Gero laiko ir iki malonaus.
Ačiū už sveikinimo žodį, dabar jau visi tikrai žinosit visą projektą eiliškumą ir gal galim iškart pradėti tą seminarą, ko mes čia jau susirinkom, mokytis, gilinti žinias ir jau kaip ir Jūratė Aksanutienė paminėjo, kad turim lektorę iš Lenkijos, Eva Rolik-Sadalska, taigi mes ją tikrai jau matom, dingo vaizdas, jau matau, jinai prisijungia, tai jeigu trumpai, tai yra iš Baltarės technologijos universiteto Lenkijos, dr. Eva Rolik-Sadalska, jinai pristatys apie tai, kas yra profesinis tapatumas, o jos tema tarpkultūrinės kompetencijos dirbant išsklaidytomis komandomis. So, hello Eva, hello from Utena, we can see you really well, and as you can see there is a lot of participants, and welcome to our event, and as I mentioned in the beginning, there is Dr. Eva Rolik-Sadalska from Białystok University of Technology, and her topic will be in English language, because we got some English students as well. So, intercultural competences in working with dispersed teams. So, floor is yours, good luck.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope that you can hear me well, because I had some problems.
We can't hear it, just give us an input.
So can you hear me? Or not? So I'm not sure if I can be heard. Yes. So, and also another thing, it would be great if I could provide my screen, because I have the presentation for the students, and it would be nice if I could share it. So if you can support me with sharing my screen, because as for now, I think I cannot do it. It's the screen of the organizers. But just waiting for these technical issues, I would like to tell you that I selected the topic of dispersed teams in terms of the project. So thank you for inviting me for this event. I think it's a great idea to support professional identity with different backgrounds and with mentoring services. So I selected the topic of dispersed teams as I think that it is already our professional reality, educational and professional reality, and the research shows that it will be the future of young people, graduates. So I picked up from this topic of dispersed team one crucial topic, which gives a lot of opportunities, but also some challenges, which is intercultural cooperation. Okay, so sorry guys, I have to provide my screen because I think I have this opportunity. I think you can see my screen with a lot of mess now, but I will come to the presentation. Okay. Can you please confirm if the screen is visible and you can see the first slide? Okay, I think yes. So one more time, I selected this topic of intercultural competencies in working with dispersed teams as remote work. Currently, actually after COVID, but currently is more and more important. And globally dispersed teams provided businesses many opportunities, different types of corporations, but there are also challenges because people in those teams are very often from different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. And that's why I think that it's good for the students to have this consciousness and to develop the intercultural skills to be better prepared for the future of professional development. So I have some experiences with working in different international projects. And also I was for 8 years the Vice President for Students Affairs at Białystok University Technology. So I was cooperated closely with young people and also with businesses in terms of their needs. So having this experience and also management of different international teams in terms of fulfilling different teaching programs, scientific programs, very often it was main contact only online. So I noticed many challenges, but also many opportunities, and I would like to share with you my experiences in that. And also I noticed the business surrounding, and I know that the first contact of young person with dispersed cooperation becomes on the level of recruitment already. So when you apply for a job, very often it will be online. Sometimes also you will have to cooperate with international recruiter, international company, even located in Lithuania. So I think that there is some issues which is worth to know, and that's why it's a justification for my topic. So I will tell you shortly what are about the dispersed teams. I will present you the research from research results from American labor market in terms of American, because it's a bit farther than European labor market. So the phenomena which occurred there, it will be a future for European countries in a few years. So I will show you the results of the data, how the dispersed teams are popular, and what are the problems and also opportunities for people who are working in dispersed teams. And then I will move to the impact of culture on team dynamics. I will give you some example how different cultures have different attitudes toward cooperating online in the dispersed teams, because sometimes it's through different channels like Zoom, for example, or Teams. Sometimes you have to cooperate in the group. There are also some tools. Sometimes you are just writing emails. So there are different types of cooperation, but it's an issue that you don't have the direct contact like we today. Yes, so it's always a challenge. And I will sum up with some strategies for building intercultural competencies in such kind of dispersed teams, giving you some hints how you can take the advantage from current education, different projects you have, just to support you already on the level of education to be better prepared for your future labor market. So dispersed teams, they are situations that the team members are spread in different countries, cities. Of course, it could be cities because it could be on the level of Lithuania. It's very convenient. You don't have to go to some city to have a meeting. You just contact online. But also it could be different countries. So very often different time zones, like it's 1 hour difference between Poland and Lithuania. I had to remember not to be late on our meeting, and also different nations, which means that these nations, different cultures, have a bit different attitude to communicate in general, and also how to communicate online, to collaborate, and to make decisions. And also it is said that co-located, so face-to-face standard teams need less coordination and communication than dispersed teams. So the research, the experiences shows that it's more challenging to have effective coordination and communication when working in dispersed teams. And also, as I mentioned, that these dispersed teams are more and more popular. When we think about dispersed teams, it's mainly IT, yes, because when you think what sectors dispersed teams were popular, and now they are popular, it's mainly IT, but it is more and more important also in different industries, more traditional, like legal industry, marketing, project management, also engineering. So companies, production companies are also joining the dispersed team trend because of different many advantages. And how it's in America currently, and it is a trend for Europe as well. 1 in 5 workers are working remotely. On one side, because companies notice this opportunity and they offer such jobs with online work or hybrid work. On the other hand, employees also want to work online. In the future, so till 2025, over 32 million Americans will work remotely, which will be 22% of the workforce. And 98% of workers want to work remote at least some of the time. So if I ask you if you would like to work remotely or in hybrid way, I think that the majority of you would say yes. Yes, at least some of the time, yes. So that's why it is like important issue how to work in efficient way. So the top industries of remote work in 2024 is mainly computer and IT, how it was easy to guess. But look, and the second position is accounting and finance, then marketing. What can be surprisingly noticed, it's also medical and health, project management, customer service, sales, administrative, HR, recruiting, operations. So when you think about your future job, I assume that many of you have one of the industry from this list. And when it comes to the most common remote job postings, so it is not IT specialist, but accountant. So accountants work online more and more. It is possible because it's more individual work. You can work and communicate with clients online. Then executive assistants, so some kind of office work support, financial analyst, project manager, customer service representatives. And then we go to the IT sector as software engineering, customer success manager. So generally managers will have also the opportunity and let's say the need to work remotely, and also product design and writing. In terms of demographics, it is also not surprising that young people or just graduates who already entered the labor market or a few years ago entered the labor market, they prefer working online. They know how to work online, they have technical skills, they appreciate advantages of working online. So people aged 24, 35, they are, let's say, the most eager to work online. And also more educated people, more often they work online because 38% of advanced degree holders work remotely. And it is more popular for men than women, but it's more connected with this computer and IT sector popularity, which is more male-oriented. And when we ask people what are benefits of working online, so the majority of them answers that it helps balance their work and personal life. And the majority of you, I can assume, are Z generation. So I cooperate with my students, I do research, and my students do research. Is the most popular topic for the research. The Z generation needs tendencies. So Z generation wants to work online because they want to have a work-life balance. They appreciate it, so you appreciate it, and it is really more flexible. Remote workers say the flexible hours are the top benefits of working remotely. But on the other hand, when you work in dispersed teams online, you can feel isolation. You need to have contact with people, so it is a risk which you have to remember. Very often there are problems with technology, and it's very frustrating. Even today, I joined the meeting our meeting at your time, so it was at 10. And it occurred when I wanted to switch on my camera, that camera is not working. It's not possible to open it through Zoom. And I had already such experience. It was my fault because I didn't make the updates on my computer. So very fastly, I had to make the updates. Luckily, it was 5 minutes, and luckily, the meeting was a bit late. But it is a problem with technology. So remember to make all the needed uploads before you want to have a meeting, especially with camera, because camera has very often such problems. And generally, to be sure, if you have a good internet connection, if you have all devices, microphone, camera, let's say, active and they are working properly, it's very frustrating, especially when there is a recruitment procedure, because I heard many cases that there was a problem with camera or microphone or both during the online meeting on Teams or Zoom. So it's better to verify it even with your colleagues, parents, friends before this meeting, if your communicator works properly. However, it's very often the communicator you don't have experience. So it's also good to be prepared. Remember about time zones differences, because now we are on European level, but when we work with people from South America, from North America, so from the different and more distant time zones, it is an issue that you are meeting very late or very early, but sometimes it's not our case, not another case. Of course, efficiency, it is dispersed team, but on the other hand, sometimes you have to work in the evening or very early in the morning. Also, coordination is challenging because people are not meeting face to face. So you have to remember about writing emails, informing about the, let's say, issues which will be discussed during the meetings. Very often it's good to have minutes, so something like summing up the meeting and just giving the information about the next step. So very often the meeting online should be summed up with some email information to everyone who took part in the meeting, just to underline some issues which were discussed and decided during the meeting, just to move forward, because very often there is a risk of delays in decision making. And it's a business, so it's your professional surrounding, so it needs to be fast in terms of decision making. Of course, in a moment I will tell you that it depends also on the culture, how to make the decision, what is the process of making the decision. So you have to consider this, but it's very, very useful to just giving this summing up to give the information for all the participants, which with all the decision, even during the meeting at the end, to underline what was decided today on the meeting, just for giving the information for everybody that we decided about that and that to move forward, because the dispersed teams are less, let's say, possible for coordination. However, of course, it is very important, as I mentioned, that people can be from different cultures, and culture can influence for example, the communication style, because cultures vary in terms of direct and indirect communication. Of course, during the meeting, it's mainly the verbal communication because the body language is not noticed as much. However, of course, it's always good to have your camera on and some part of your body language is visible. But remember that some team members, for example, from the United States, might be more inclined to use direct and explicit communication. So the same with Germany, for example. I noticed also that German people, maybe 10 years ago, they were a bit more let's say, general, more implicit, so you don't call them by name. But currently, it is a trend, not only in America, it's quite obvious, but for example, in Germany, it's the same. And in the majority of Italy, Spain, that you are calling people by name. And for example, when the first time you meet people, it's always good to make an introduction with everyone. So if you are not sure how somebody wants to be called, you will hear this, especially when you conduct such meeting, by asking for short introduction. But remember that, for example, Asian cultures like Japan, for example, or India may rely more on implicit, indirect communication. Yes, so it's a bit higher hierarchy. Of course, decision-making approaches, as I said, it is a bit time-consuming to make a decision when working in the dispersed teams. And also remember that some cultures value consensus building and group decision-making, such as Japanese, for example. And other, like Americans or British, they may value more top-down and fast decision-making processes. I think that Lithuanians or Polish are the same, so we prefer to make faster decision. But sometimes we should appreciate more, let's say, a team making decision. The same are with Scandinavians. So very often when we have Scandinavians in our teams, like Scandinavians, I also mean the Netherlands. So they need to discuss with each other. It's a bit long-term decision-making process because they are finding different approaches, and it is not so easy to make a decision. You have to wait for them, sometimes to go on compromise, because the decision-making approach is a bit different. And of course, we have to appreciate all the members and all different cultural attitudes. Time perception, it's another issue. In some cultures, being punctual and adhering strictly to deadlines, like Switzerland and Germany, is very important. So you cannot be late. You have to follow all the deadlines, because otherwise your business partner, your professional colleague can treat you as not serious partner. And others, in other cultures, it's possible that they view time more flexibly, with greater importance placed on relationship building. So it could be, for example, South Europe or Middle Eastern and African countries. So it's a more, let's say, more approach for giving like a tolerance, because if somebody is late 1 or 2 days, you cannot treat him or her as somebody who should be outside your team, because it's a kind of part of culture. But of course, anytime if you need deadlines meeting, and if you have some strict following the plan, so you have to remind, but very nicely, and respecting this a bit different attitude toward time. Power distance is also worth mentioning, because some cultures are, like for example, Southeast Asia or Latin America, have a higher power distance. Hierarchy is very respected, and leaders are expected to make decisions which without much consultations. So very often, if there is not a leader who participates in the meeting, very often there should be a consultation after the meeting with a leader, and then the decision can be made. And some countries, like for example, the Netherlands, Denmark, Switzerland as well, but Sweden, so Nordic countries mainly, are more egalitarianistic, and team members expect their opinions to be valued regardless of rank. So sometimes it is also worth knowing that this power distance differs. And also why it is very useful to remember about these differences in cultures and why it is worth building your intercultural competencies, why these intercultural competencies matter. Because there are skills, behaviors, attitudes, and some sensitivity toward different cultures. And it is because it can enhance communication. When you understand different cultural backgrounds, so sometimes on the meeting, you are not conscious even that some person is from another culture. For example, I had one partner in the project from UK, but when we made this first introduction, this partner introduced him as a Brazilian because he was originated from Brazil and he moved to UK. So Brazilians are a bit different than British, and it could be noticed during our communication. And having this in mind, you can also have another, let's say, attitude toward these participants. So that's why I encourage you to discover the culture, to have to be prepared for the culture, and then to communicate in the right way, just to support your cooperation and team. Fostering trust is also important during the cooperation in every team. In the dispersed team, it's more challenging because trust is a kind of foundation of any successful team. And building trust across cultures requires special attention because it's a kind of respect toward differences, toward different cultures. And then if you are, especially when you are a leader, you are experienced as a person who respects different culture, the trust can be fostered easily. Boosting innovation is another issue. Diverse teams bring really a lot of wealth and different ideas, different perspectives, different experiences. So it is worth having these intercultural competencies to attract participants from different cultures because your ideas, solutions can be more creative. Very often it supports you with solving many problems. And of course, improve team cohesion because when team members feel respected, understood, appreciated, they are more likely to be engaged, to cooperate in a team, and the team works better. It's even possible to meet those deadlines, even though if somebody is from the Southern Europe, but he feels or she feels so involved with the team that it cannot be overcome, even though the culture. So it's worth appreciating cultures. And what are the key intercultural competencies for dispersed teams? So you can identify if you have them, and if you don't have them, if it's possible to develop them just to have more chances to cooperate in such teams. Cultural self-awareness. So if you understand actually what is your attitude toward different cultures, because it's a kind of sometimes we have some bias toward different cultures, we have different values, and it's also good to have this self-awareness because then we are sure on we can predict if we can cooperate with people from different cultures. Yes, so it's a kind of self-identification. Then if you have the empathy and active listening, because it's a kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Very often those cultures are completely different than our attitude. And it's sometimes frustrating to be patient, to have the empathy, to be active listener, especially when you have the deadlines to do and you are the leader of the team. But remember, face-to-face interaction is limited. So practicing active listening, it's sometimes very essential, just to notice different needs of different members. Adaptability and flexibility. I mean by this, dispersed teams often operate in rapidly changing environment. And adapting to new ways of thinking, communicating, operating is very, very crucial. Flexibility allows teams to work through different cultures, and it allows for benefiting the entire group. So sometimes you have some assumptions of your project, for example, but then it occurs that not for everybody is possible to fulfill those assumptions because of cultural issues. Sometimes they are also, of course, different issues, because when we talk about diversity, it's also age, religion, so different issues which are also connected with these cultural issues, but they make diversity, but not directly. So this flexibility, it's adjusting yourself and your behavior to the group. You should be culturally curious. So if you don't know something about the culture, because it is quite, let's say, different and not very popular, it's good to know, good to get those information. You can ask team members questions. How it is in your country, yes, or what are your experiences, just to understand the reasoning behind cultural norms. Don't assume that something is right or wrong. If you are not sure, it's better to ask. Of course, every group, every team can have some conflicts. In dispersed teams, it is also popular and possible, sometimes also because of the cultural misunderstandings. So it is essential to recognize cultural factors in conflicts if the issue connected with culture can be the reason. For example, you give these deadlines, somebody didn't meet these deadlines, and you wrote the email with some complaints, yes? And maybe this person is not involved anymore, yes? And it is because of he or she feels offended because he or she is not used to such treatment, yes? So you should understand these cultural differences. And I'm sorry. Marta, przepraszam, spotkanie mam na Zoomie. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So my friend, I was online and my friend called me on Teams. So I informed her that I have another meeting. I couldn't switch it off, or maybe I could, but I don't know how. And we go to the technological proficiency in cultural context, guys. So now we had the example that sometimes it happens that we have some issues in terms of the technology. And always this proficiency in communication tools supports you in cooperation. Communicators like Teams or Zoom are one thing, but also sometimes you need a teamwork. And for example, there is a Miro board. Miro board is just for workshops online with giving some activation tasks, like, for example, putting some cards or writing in a group. So there is more possibilities. In Teams, it's also such possibility to work on a board. So such options always supports your, let's say, efficiency when working in a team. And last but not least, strategies for building intercultural competencies. Guys, I believe that you have some experiences because you joined today the international and also support program. Yes, so you are eager to take part in different training programs, also in terms of culture. I suppose that one of the best is Erasmus Mobility, or now when you don't want to leave your family, your country, your city for 6 months, it's possibility to take part in blended intensive programs. I think that it's one of the best cultural training programs because you go to the place, you have to cooperate face to face, but sometimes also online, especially in BIPs, yes, blended intensive programs. It's a kind of combination of online work and face-to-face work. So if you have such opportunities, please use it because it helps you to understand cultural differences, because you experience, you meet people, you observe people, you know how they behave, what are their, let's say, attitudes and values. And thanks to that, you remember those behaviors and you move with these experiences to your professional backgrounds later on. So, of course, you are practicing language skills, so communication skills on different levels. And also it builds empathy for you, because sometimes when you go for such exchange or you take part in such a training program, you can experience those different cultures and you can get used to them. Yes, so then it is easier for you when you in your professional life, you have to make the decision. You are working under stress, under pressure. You are evaluated by your boss, and it is easier because you have already some experiences from your educational background. I really believe also in leverage mentorship. So I know that this project also includes mentoring program. And I think that pairing team members from different cultures, especially from different cultures, during such mentorship, sometimes there are buddy programs. I don't know if you have buddy programs in your Erasmus program, because sometimes our students from my university, they are so-called buddies for the Erasmus students who are coming to our university, and they support them by presenting the city, explaining different issues concerning also living in Poland. And thanks to that, you have experience to go deeper into relation of different cultures. You can learn from your buddies, and you can also, it is especially useful when onboarding new members to dispersed teams. So when you have new member, you already experience this culture from your past during, like, for example, this buddy mentorship, and you already know what you can expect from such person. Of course, every person is different. There are also issues of character and attitude. So we shouldn't go so into stereotypes that, for example, all the time Germans are punctual, with special order, and all the German people will behave like that. Yes. On the other hand, U.S. Partners will be always easygoing. Remember that it's also specific character, and sometimes it's individual situation, but we can expect that the majority of partners from those countries can behave like that because they were growing in such culture. They were part of such surrounding with such values. Yes. Another issue for the strategy, how to be more interculturally oriented, is creating a culture of feedback. As I mentioned you, it is worth writing those emails, which are kind of summing up of our meeting online. Because a culture of feedback, it assures all the team members feel comfortable because you sum up something which was discussed. And sometimes, believe me, some partners understand the same issue differently. So when there is a kind of feedback provided for all the team, after some discussion, you can avoid misunderstanding. Sometimes also because of these cultural differences, different interpretation of the same things. Always after such email, and when somebody disagrees, or if somebody understood it in a different way, it could be explained individually with the direct contact, I mean email contact or additional meeting with the participants, with the partners. And also it is also support of continuous learning, because when you continues going forward with making some decision. Yes, because when the feedback is given, when the decision is made, we can go to another step of our project, for example, or we can also provide the solution for our bosses. Yes, use technology to bridge gaps. So digital collaboration tools like Slack, Trello, Zoom, Teams, yes, Doodle. Guys, remember that Doodle is very useful. I forgot to mention it, especially when you have different time zones. Doodle is a tool to decide about the meeting date, yes, and hour. And very often people have different duties, they are having different time zones. So when you want to begin with compromise, being open, give many options, as many as possible for you, to the Doodle tool, and send the link to Doodle for your participants just to select the option. And the Doodle gives the opportunity to sum up the most selected options, which can be this one, which is the time and day of the meeting. I have such experiences also that it's very challenging to decide, yes, because sometimes there is no compromise. Now I have a team with Israeli, with Canada, Germany, France, Poland, and UK. And because of the time zones, we couldn't set up a meeting because it was so many hours of time differences. And at the same time, for example, people from Germany and France, they don't want to meet after 3 p.m. because then they move to their personal life. Yes. It's a bit different for Polish because for us, I assume also that for Lithuanians, we are more open for working also during our free time. And it's impossible for some cultures because they appreciate a lot free time. So the compromise was very difficult. Additionally, when we have Israelis in our team, you have to remember that they have Shabbat, yes? So it's impossible for them to meet Friday or Saturday. On the other hand, they have the opportunity to meet on Sunday. Yes, because for them it's a bit different attitude toward when we can work and when we have a celebration. But luckily, finally, after maybe 3 or 4 doodles, we decided about our meeting. Yes, but sometimes it's a really time-consuming. But these technologies help because the leader, the organizer, provided after some time additional time meetings, additional days, extended it from 4 to 10 days. And finally, we decided about one meeting, which was also decreased with time. Also, I put the idea of celebrating cultural diversity. So in this sense, I mean, it is always good to remember about some celebrations of different cultures, holidays, traditions, events. So you can ask about, for example, how was the celebration of this and this, because you know that, for example, in India it was celebrated, or in China it was celebrated, and you remember this. And thanks to that, it gives the information for your partner that you appreciate and you have the consciousness. So it's very good, let's say, evaluated by the participants to know something about the culture and to appreciate the culture. And guys, just to underline that many companies are working really, really online and working in many countries. So the dispersed teams is a, let's say, future. Here's the example of IBM, which is, of course, a big company which operates in 170 countries. And dispersed teams, called multicultural teams, are something, let's say, popular. And this collaboration is very efficient. And it's even called the globally integrated enterprise model because it is also with high impact on training employees in intercultural competencies. So there are specific trainings in companies how to understand different cultures and how to be more efficient in cooperation. Because today I just mentioned some differences and just underline that you have to remember if you select such work, and maybe you will not have even a chance, but I think it's also the value added for you. But many companies, especially big international companies, they provide special trainings for the employees. Promoting diversity. So remember that this diversity, cultural, also other diversity, supports the company in innovation, creativity, better problem solving. Of course, it also have challenges, as I mentioned. And the answer for these challenges is just to know other cultures, just to be more skilled in intercultural competencies. Fostering open communication channels between teams. It means that very often companies, especially big companies, have some intranet solutions. So you have internal communication systems just for the employees. And very often international companies encourage employees to chat together, so just individual contacts through chat, through intranet, different channels, also supports solving some problems before they are creating conflicts, for example. Another case study, but there are many, of course, I selected just two. It's a Renault-Nissan alliance, and it's a kind of combination of two completely different cultures in one company, because there is Japanese automakers Nissan and Mitsubishi, and on the other hand, so Asian with European French Renault, and it's also in different materials. I found it as like a top successful example of intercultural collaboration, because there are really significant differences in those business cultures between Japanese and France. But on the other hand, the company, and it's a technological company, so there are different very important issues to discuss very often also in the intercultural teams. And to overcome cultural barriers, the company very often adopt management approach that respects each other differences by while aligning on strategic goals. So this management approach with assuming and appreciating different cultures, it's already on the level of mission of the company, strategy of the company, and when the employees enter the company, they know how to work with, for example, Asian culture, because it's a part of the company and its efficiency. So I think because I was predicted for 45 minutes, I think I met my time limit. So thank you for attention, but also I look forward to hearing your thoughts and questions, because maybe you would like to discuss something more. I hope it's a question to the organizers, if we have time for questions, so if we have time for comments or not, but I assume that yes. Hello, hello. Do we have time for questions and thoughts?
So we turn on the audio. So thank you very much to our lecturer, Dr. Eva Rolnik-Sadowska. It was actually very interesting and very useful presentation. You took a lot of points of this topic, and you shared a lot of experience examples, even job examples, cultural examples, competences example, and even we saw a real example of the Teams call in the middle of the presentation. So it's also good. And I'd like to ask if someone would like to ask some questions. Gal kažkas turit klausimų? Jeigu kažkas turit klausimų, tai drąsiai kelkit ranką, aš prieisiu, duosiu mikrofoną. As I can see, no one raising the hand, no one have any question. But thank you very much once again, and see you soon in some other events, maybe in Utena face-to-face, not only online.
Okay, thank you so much. And students, you have my emails. So if you would like to ask me something individual, oh, sorry, there is a mistake. I notice it's a mistake, it's double L. Now it will be correct. Oh, so my surname is by double L. So if you have any questions and you would like to mail me or meet me online individually, because maybe you will have some case to discuss and if you would like to share it, so please contact me anytime. I try to support you, and I wish you good luck with your professional future. And I really believe and hope that you are going to have wonderful maybe dispersed international teams. So a lot of luck and success. Thank you so much for attention.
Thank you once again. You can hear the applause.
Yeah, so bye-bye.
Taigi dabar jau vieną seminarą tokią dalį išklausėm, turėsime ir antrą seminarą, bet dabar bus 10 minučių pertrauka, tai galite pasivaišinti dar kava, prasivaikščiot, prasijudinti ir